Hello everyone, we are from De Montfort University. My name is Ben, I'm joined by Jamie and Dal, and today we're going to talk about open days and how you can take full advantage of open days over the next few months as you start to research your next future steps. First thing we want to do is talk about some quick context around why it is important that you do that research, and I'm going to pass over to Jamie really quickly to talk about university research and how open days are going to help benefit that.
So researching is massively important for numerous reasons. First of all, there's a huge amount of choice out there. Now, it's not a case of there's one or two universities with a handful of courses. There are literally several hundred universities. Each will do between 200 and 500 individual subjects. So the choice is absolutely massive. You can't simply spend 5 minutes browsing through a website and pick your course. You've got to narrow it down through quite a step-by-step research process. So one, the amount of choice and narrowing it down is a big reason. Secondly, you're spending 3 years of your time at university, maybe longer if you're doing certain degrees for the placement year or degrees that have longer accreditations. So if you're spending that 3 years plus, you want to make sure you're picking something that gives you the best experience possible, academically, socially, in terms of skills and developments and leading through to a future career. And the third thing is, university is not necessarily a cheap thing to do. University courses aren't free. Sorry if you didn't know that. University courses have got tuition fees. So again, because you're spending your money as well as your time, it's massively important that you do your research. There's loads of ways you can research. You can use the UCAS website. You can go onto university websites, you can get hold of prospectuses, so jump onto a DMU website, you can request a prospectus from there, that gives the full course portfolio, and there's numerous social media platforms you can jump on to have engagement with current students and staff as well. But the absolute best way, once you've done your initial research and narrowed it down, to work out, is a university really for you? What's it feel like? What's the atmosphere? What's the campus? What's the vibe? Is to jump on an open day, be it physical or in the current environment, digital. I would really strongly recommend that when you're narrowing it down to your 5 choices, you don't put anything on that form that you've not been and seen either virtually or in person, because every university is different, every course is different, and if you don't find out and talk to people and get the inside knowledge, you might find yourself signing up for something that isn't necessarily what you expected and leads to a potentially less positive experience than you would normally have had if you'd done your research. So yep, it's pretty important.
So as Jamie was mentioning, there are a lot of courses, there are a lot of universities that are all offering similar sort of courses in terms of the fields that you guys probably want to go into. And one of the key benefits of attending a university open day is that you actually get to differentiate between those courses and get a feel for those universities. Now, due to the current situation that we find ourselves in, our open days now are digital, but when we go back pre-March, before the pandemic hit, all of the open days were on campus. So you got the opportunity to have a look at the campus, you get the opportunity to have a feel for it, you get to meet other prospective students who are also in the same sort of position of you, of trying to decide whether this campus and this university is a right fit for them. One thing that we always say in terms of open days, make sure you come prepared. So have a look at the course that you're interested in doing, have a look at the schedule that you'll be given when you arrive at your open day, and really make the most of it. So try and attend as many different course lectures, taster sessions, whatever you want to call it. Try and attend as many as you possibly can, because that will give you a real insight. Now, there might be some students at the moment that are currently toying between 1 or 2 different courses, and these open days are a great way to grab that snapshot of the next 3 years in a very, very condensed time. So it's something that we always recommend to our students. You also get to have a look at the facilities as well. And one of the most important things about attending the open day is getting a feel of the actual place. Can you see yourself being there for 3 years, potentially 4 years if you do a postgraduate degree at the end of it? Does it fit you? So a lot of students sometimes often forget the fact that the university has to be right for the student as much as is the student right for the university. So that are the main advantages of an open day.
No, absolutely agree with everything Del said. It's just the best way of visualizing your fit for the course. And he's right, students always worry about, will the course have me? What are the entrance requirements? But don't forget, actually, it's a buyer's market. You're making that decision. You have that control. And whilst, yes, you have got to be realistic, there's no point putting a course down that wants straight A's if you're predicted straight C's. At the same time, Universities want your business, and universities want you to choose them. So definitely take advantage of that, and bear in mind that a lot of the decision making, a lot of the actual power in this process is with yourself. And just be proactive and get involved, and don't sit passively waiting for the decision to make itself. Use all the different platforms available to help you make the right decision. And also bring your family along for the ride, be it virtual or physical. You know, your parents are big stakeholders in this. So do make sure that you include them in the process as much as you can as well.
So something that both Jamie and Dal have mentioned there is obviously the idea of a digital open day or a virtual open day. So obviously, given the current circumstances, we're not able to experience a lot of these things in person. You're not able to necessarily go onto those university campuses and have a look around the buildings and meet people in person. So universities have done a really great job of being able to adapt their open days into this sort of digital platform, and we've been able to offer a lot of those services online through live streams, through live chats. You're still able to directly talk to a lot of the students and the academics and actually get a lot of that information virtually, all from hopefully the comfort of your home. So there are some huge benefits to actually doing them this way, and we've had some fantastic conversations with students through these digital platforms, and we're able to spend almost a little bit more time on an individual basis with those students using these digital platforms to answer as many questions as we can. So these open days, whilst yes they are digital and whilst you are able to come onto campus, there's still a fantastic insight into the types of courses that we have on offer, and very often you'll see some of the live streams will actually take place inside some of our labs, inside some of our facilities, which is absolutely brilliant. You're also able to have a look around some of the accommodation, which we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes. You're also able to have a campus tour, so you're actually able to still kind of see around the buildings and see where you're going to be studying. So it still gives you a little bit of an insight into what the university looks like. And as I say, you are still able to talk to students, and we do have students sitting on many of these live panels, and you're able to ask them questions and just find out a little bit more about those courses. So as Dal said, you're still able to get a really good insight into those courses. You're still able to actually see where you're going to be studying, and hopefully visualize even a little bit about where it is you're going to be studying, and can you see yourself in those locations. So yes, digital open days are at the minute kind of here to stay until something changes, but we are able to adapt to those and hopefully provide an absolutely fantastic experience for those students that are looking to find as much information as they can about those open days. And you'll see some of the clips on screen now of some of the different live streams that have taken place, just to give you an idea of what to expect. And we'll obviously leave some booking links towards the end of this video on how to register on for our next open days if you're interested.
So if you've closed down your mind to these fairs and you've thought, no, it's not the same, it's not for me, do give it a genuine look, because you'll find you get more insight and more chance to chat than perhaps you imagine that you do. And we found on the comments of some of the streams you've been doing, the students are chatting massively amongst themselves in ways that on physical events you guys never do. You rock up with your parents, you go to a coffee shop, you go to a talk, you do the tour, and you go home. In the live virtual sessions, people have been chatting, getting to know each other, and forming these relationships, which is a big part of the university experience. We do have some pros as well as the sort of perception, but they're not as live and dynamic.
It allows you to go to open days that might not necessarily be accessible in terms of time and distance, and taking the time out of your busy schedules, because a lot of university open days might all coincide on one Saturday. Your parents probably can't get the time off work to go and visit, and sometimes that might hinder you being able to go and view an open day. So with it being digital, with the ability for you guys to be able to access from your homes, from your devices, whatever it may be, we're overcoming another object, in terms of, right, you do have the opportunity to go and see that from the comfort of your own home.
Say you've got an open day, say you're fancying going down to a university, if it's in Devon or Cornwall, it's a hell of a drive. You're talking 4 or 5 hours. If you get there and immediately go, oh God, don't like this, it's 4 or 5 hours straight back. With the virtual fair, there might even be some longevity in these events, because it's a way of you being able to visualize it, work out if it's for you remotely and in a very time compact way, and then if you really, really like it in future, you might even have the ability to go and see it in person afterwards, knowing at least it's ticking those core boxes. So as Dal says, definitely a lot of big positives, as well as, you know, as well as sort of worries you might have.
We'll look at some more questions as well, the things you can sort of ask on an open day. So there's various different things that you need to explore. We've already touched on a few of the things in the first few minutes of this live stream, but looking at the sort of wider conversations, there's other things that you can look out for in both a physical open day and in a virtual space, things that you can really kind of research just to kind of wrap your head around the different aspects of university.
Yeah, so when you're looking at your course, especially when you're doing that research process, sometimes a lot of the courses might seem similar. So I've taught at 2 different universities, and even though the subject degree was exactly the same, what the content that I taught was completely different. And that goes down to the different modules that the students have the option to study. So one of the things that I would strongly advise you guys to do is have a look at the modules when you're attending these subject taster sessions on your open day. So have a look at the ones that allow you to choose the ones that you prefer. Say, for example, if we use the example of history is a massive field, and a lot of universities all have a history degree, but certain universities will focus on certain periods of history. So say, for example, if you're really fascinated in the Industrial Revolution over ancient Rome or ancient Greece, then have a look at, does your university allow you to choose those modules, and what modules do you have that are compulsory? A lot of the university degrees now that sit within the same sort of field have a lot of crossover as well. So say, for example, if you wanted to study a business management program, I know I was speaking to a student the other day, and she was telling me she's also done some work on an arts and festivals management program as well. So the modules allow you to cross over fairly well. So that's also something that I would strongly recommend you guys to have a look at.
You also want the degree to take you to the career destination you want to be in long term. In some students' case, that might be a really specific career idea you've got in mind. In other students' cases, it might be more general. But those added value employment pieces are really important. In the placement year I did on my degree, probably taught me as much in terms of about myself and skills and development for future jobs than the degree did. And it really complemented the learning, because it was able for me to apply the learning I'd done in my 2 previous years of study in a physical workspace in year 3. And then when I did my academic learning in year 4, I could relate that back to the work experience I just had in year 3. So it really complemented. And it means on your CV, you've got this big body of experience. So do look at, are there 4-year work placement experiences? Lots of our DME degrees do have them. Are there shorter, sharper work experience opportunities? Are there opportunities to travel within the course? Always added value things you want to be taking advantage of, because they stand out on your CV, they give you skills, they make you more employable, and they just enrich the whole experience and make it more enjoyable and more immersive. So yeah, dead important. Do keep an eye out for that. Massively worth it. And it also gives you a salary for that placement year as well, which means you're in a financially stronger position when you come back in year 4, theoretically, if you've managed the money okay in year 3, that is.
Something else students can look out for is things like accommodation, particularly if, as again we mentioned previously, if you're looking at moving out when you go to university, if you're thinking of moving away from home and getting some of that independence which comes from being at university and staying in those accommodation halls, you've got to make sure that you're happy with where you're going to be staying. So accommodation is another big part of the open day experience, being able to actually have a look around the different halls, see where the different kinds of halls are, see where they're based in relation to the campus. So definitely have a look at accommodation as well. On a physical open day, obviously we would allow you to have a look at tours and actually have a look around the different buildings, but on our sort of virtual open days, we are able to at least take a camera in there and just show you around some of the different types of bedrooms. And the difference in times of accommodation can obviously vary based on things like budget. It can vary based on, again, location, how close it to campus is it, but also other factors that might come into consideration when you are looking at types of accommodation for what you need. So the research into accommodation is also as important when you're on an open day, because it just gives you a really good insight into the sort of more social and the more kind of living experience that you would get from being at a university. So that's something else to consider and definitely one to look at. Once you start to narrow down your university choices, you can start to look at the different types of accommodation to start having a look at the sort of living experience that you'll get when you're at university as well.
The accommodation stream that we did on our last digital open day was really good. So I actually hosted that live stream, and there was a lot of students that was in there that had a lot of questions around accommodation. Obviously, at the moment, with the current situation that we find ourselves in, there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of, right, is accommodation open? How is it spaced out? And what we did on our accommodation live stream, we had our accommodation officers in there as well. So these were people that worked in the accommodation team, and we was actively encouraging, so you guys get the opportunity, even though you're not on campus, you still get to ask those same questions and have the same conversations online digitally by using the comment platform. So I found as a host that was very, very useful. And for the students, when one of our students took us round the accommodation, they found it very useful for them to be able to visualize and start piece together, right, could I see myself living in those spaces? So when you are looking at the digital open days, please do have a look at the accommodation live streams, because they are extremely useful. And if you do have any questions, you will get the opportunity to ask them and hopefully get them answered live on stream.
Yeah, I mean, your student experience can be exactly what you want to make it. There are endless opportunities, and your job is to be proactive, make yourself aware of those opportunities, and then jump in to give yourself a really rich sort of student experience. I hosted a student live stream an evening about 3 weeks ago, and I got 4 ambassadors from our 4 different faculty areas. And the amount of things they did in their spare time put me to shame completely. They were in sports and societies, they volunteered, they had several different part-time jobs. One had just come back from a shift of litter picking in the park prior to doing the shift. There are an endless amount of things that you can do. So we've got DMU Global that gives you overseas experiences that university subsidises you on. You've got all the work-based experience through DMU Works and course placements. You've got 100+ clubs and societies. Everything from traditional sports that you can play at a competitive or a social level, through to all sorts of weird and wonderful societies, you know, develop your own circle skills. There's loads of things you can do. Volunteering through the DSU or through DMU Square Mile India or DMU Local. Again, a massive amount of opportunities. It's not just about social life, going out, having a good time and doing your course. There is that third part of the process, which is all of those added value pieces that you do alongside your degree that enrich it, that give you skills and make the whole thing memorable and make you meet more and more people. So just like hopefully you are now in school or college, be proactive, get involved, say yes to all the opportunities, do balance your time carefully and don't overcommit to the social or the extracurricular or the study. Try and balance your time across the pieces, but definitely take advantage and definitely be proactive. University is brilliant regardless, but the more you do, the more benefit you will get short, medium, long term from the experience itself.
Thank you very much, everybody, for watching this video. We hope you found it useful. You can book onto our next virtual open days by going to the link on screen right here. You'll be able to see some clips of that as well. It looks very exciting, so do make sure you book onto that. If you'd like to find out more about the courses and, again, kick off some of that research, you can also order a prospectus going to this link as well. If you'd like to chat to any of our students, there is a link also on screen, lots of links today, for you to be able to chat to one of our current students and, again, find out more about the university. But until then, thank you very much, everyone. We hope it was useful, and hopefully we'll see you at the next virtual open day. Take care.
Cheers.